تبارك الذي بيده الملك وهو على كل شيء قدير الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا وهو العزيز الغفور الذي خلق 7 سماوات طباقا ما ترى في خلق الرحمن من تفاوت فارجع البصر هل ترى من فطور ثم ارجع البصر كرتين ينقلب إليك البصر خاسئا وهو حسير ولقد زينا السماء الدنيا بمصابيح وجعلناها رجوما للشياطين وأعتدنا لهم عذاب السعير وللذين كفروا بربهم عذاب جهنم وبئس المصير إذا ألقوا فيها سمعوا لها شهيقا وهي تفور تكاد تميز من الغيظ كلما ألقي فيها فوج سألهم خزنتها ألم يأتكم نذير قالوا بلى قد جاءنا نذير فكذبنا وقلنا ما نزل الله من شيء إن أنتم إلا في ضلال كبير وقالوا لو كنا نسمع أو نعقل ما كنا في أصحاب السعير فاعترفوا بذنبهم فسحقا لأصحاب السعير إن الذين يخشون ربهم بالغيب لهم مغفرة وأجر كبير صدق الله العلي العظيم صلوات
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وأفضل الصلوات وأتم التسليم على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا وشفيع ذنوبنا أبي القاسم محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 girls I can see on the phone, unfortunately. Please, my brothers and sisters, no phones for the next 45, 50 minutes. If you've got like a hakka that you have to get on your phone, inshallah, we will supply medication for next week. Okay, have, inshallah, the level of respect for the program, for the topic, and for everyone else, inshallah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Happy New Year to everyone. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us with a fruitful year, a year in which we will be able to not only gain more recognition of Ahlulbayt, of our religion, but also become closer to our living Imam, Sahib al-Asri wa Zaman, Ajjalallah ta'ala farajuhu sharif. Ultimately, that's the goal that we all have. That's the aspiration that we all look to achieve, inshaAllah. From the brothers on Ahmed's side, on Ahmed's right side, left side, all of you move this way so I'm able to see you. Joe, I can see half of your face, Abedin. So move this way, please. We also are still recovering from what I believe to be a very successful camp. Many good positive feedback from both the brothers and sisters side. We created that brotherhood, sisterhood that we wanted to achieve. We left our comfort zone. We learnt a lot. We were able to disconnect from society. And of course, most importantly, we had fun as well while we were doing what it is that we were doing. Some of us had more fun, some of us had less fun, especially with the zoo noises. Inshallah, in a few months, we will have a camp reunion, and of course, it's going to be a good event then. Something that I wanted to speak about, seeing that we are starting a new year, is why is it that our religion requests from us to go through certain levels of difficulty and struggle in our lives in order for what? What is the purpose of being uncomfortable in this life? Why is it that we've got so many of these hadith from Ahlulbayt alayhim salam that say that this dunya is a jail, that this dunya should be avoided, that we need to always struggle, that there's what we call jihadun nafs, and all these other things. Why does that need to be the case? Why can't we pursue comfort? Why can't we be comfortable in this life? Why can't we live a life where we just lay back, no responsibility, no accountability, and just be who we are as human beings with, no worry on our minds? When we look at our ulama, when we look at our imams, alayhim salam, we can also see that they went through a lot of difficulties in their lives as well. Aslan, is it right for us to even call it difficulty? Should we even refer to it as a difficulty? Should we even say that our imams lived a quote-unquote difficult life? Did they consider it? Did they define it? Did they classify it as being difficult? Well, first of all, we understand that there are verses in the Holy Quran that tell us, that inform us that you need to struggle in this life. Ya ayyuhal insan, innaka kadihun ila rabbika kadhan famulaqih. O human being, you are going to be struggling, you're going to be persevering in order for you to be able to meet your Lord. Or this very simple verse in the Quran that I'm sure all of you have already read. لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي كَبَدٍ. What's the next ayah after it? أَيَحْسَبُ أَنْ لَنْ يَرَهُ أَحَدٍ. Right? So what does kabad mean? Kabad doesn't mean kidney. Right? Kabad here means difficulty, means hardship. Right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created the human being with certain intrinsic attributes and features that you can't get away from. خُلِقَ الْإِنسَانُ هَلُوعًا. There is things that are embedded within the very fabric of your human side that you're not able to get rid of. Unless, of course, you go against your human instinct. Unless, of course, you go against the greater purpose of what it is that you were created for. And that's exactly why it's all about challenges, how you are able to understand the purpose of life and know why there are challenges in your life. Why are there going to be difficulties in your life? And of course, what is the strategy to get over, to accomplish, to get over these particular challenges? I'm not going to read line by line, so make sure while I'm talking, you also read these. Can you see this at the back? Yes? No? Okay. So, challenges are there for a reason. Sometimes they're challenges that come about naturally, coincidentally. Sometimes they are self-imposed challenges. Self-imposed challenges. You remember in camp when we spoke about what we call the preemptive strike, which means before something happened to you, you prepare yourself for that time that it was to occur. You will be more than ready. It's like when you are going to become an astronaut, they go through hundreds and hundreds of hours of exercises and, flight, what do they call it? Flight simulations, and what's going to happen if you go round and round and round and round. How are you going to take off your helmet? Are you able to work under pressure? And these kind of things. It hasn't happened to you yet, right? But you are preparing yourself. When the time comes, you are able to do that. One of the things that is, very important skill for certain fields, for certain occupations, like for example, a pilot that you need to learn how to work under pressure, that you can make strong decisions under a lot of pressure in dangerous, very, very critical times. How is your brain going to function? Some people, they just fall apart. They just have a nervous breakdown. Some people, no, they stay calm. They know how to deal with the situation. They are very, very swift in dealing with it. It's like when you see one person dealing with a car accident, you got one person who runs away and you got one person who runs towards them and says, do this. They take role, they take lead in, of course, managing this whole situation. Why? Because they have mentally and also even physically prepared themselves for that kind of scenario, And that's really, really important. Why is this topic so crucial and so important? Because if you don't develop a correct understanding of what challenges mean and what overcoming challenges mean and how to prepare yourself for those kind of scenarios, when you're faced with a situation, you don't know how to deal with it. مثلا, for example, you go to a country and that country is invaded by a neighboring country and all roads out of the country are blocked. And then they impose a sanction against the country. What are you going to do in this situation? How are you going to deal with your daily routine, with what you eat, what you drink? Are you going to quickly adapt to the situation? Are you going to tnawas? What's tnawas mean? Ya kahi. Is that what it means? Whinge? What does it mean, mujtaba? Huh? What does it mean, Ali?
It means just like you want to move around a lot. You want to roll around.
Roll around, huh? نعوص. أهلين. أي سلام السيد. Hassan, respect your brother-in-law, Hassan. You want to whinge and you want to say, oh, I don't eat broccoli, I don't eat noodles, the tomato is touching the laham, I don't eat that. This isn't bottled water, I'm not going to drink that. And all these other things, that bed is too hard, how am I going to sleep on the floor? I don't have my pillow with me, I don't have my teddy bear with me. Where's my toothbrush? Where's this? Where's that? What's this? What's that? How are you going to adapt to that kind of situation? And that's why if there was a zombie breakout, 90% of yous would die. You'd become zombies straight away. Why? Because you're not able to Rada mayahi. You're not able, it's not camp boys, calm down everyone. You're not able to somehow adapt to what it is that you need to do in that particular scenario. Why? Because you haven't challenged yourself. You haven't challenged yourself. You haven't exited your comfort zone, and you haven't learned that not everything needs to go your way. And that's really, really important. And a lot of this comes down to your mental state of being, how strong your mind is. A lot of this is all about mind games. Your mind is able to affect your whole routine in your life. Your mind is able to affect how you interact with other people. Your mind is able to affect even what you eat. Of course, unless we're talking about rare scenarios where you are extremely allergic to certain things, right? And everyone likes certain things and doesn't like certain things. But if you are put in a situation where it's only this and no other option, will you quickly adapt to it? Will you become a Bear Grylls? Or will you atnawas and run away? This is here. You either make it or break it. And that's why me personally, I always, when I'm with people, especially when I'm traveling, I always make sure that I enforce exiting of comfort zone. I make sure that I tell them, create a scenario in your life right now that you are able to quickly acclimate to, that you are quickly able to adapt to, whatever it may be. Especially when you are with other people, making the sacrifice of, okay, brother, if there's only one bed, I'll sleep on the floor, you sleep on the bed. There's only one kebab, you take it, and don't worry, I'll have bread and busal. This is called ithar, this is called sacrifice, this is called selflessness. Because you got some people who are selfish, and you have some people who are selfless. Even as the Quran says, even if it comes to their damage, the Quran says, وَيُؤْثِرُونَ عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ وَلَوْ كَانَ بِهِمْ خَصَاصَةٌ. Even if it is to their disadvantage, even if it is damaging to them, they will still sacrifice for the sake of someone else's comfort. And many people unfortunately won't do that. Many people will say, this is mine, I got it first, I bought it, it's from my money, I paid more than you. Why? Because unfortunately in today's society we're very much into individualization, very much into the ana, the me, the ego, the I-ness, للأسف الشديد, which is exactly why all of it comes down to, as I said, how you're able to get that mental health and your mental well-being. How do you do this? Of course, you look at what you really need and what you don't need, what you can live without. You look at your attitude in life. You look at how you're able to control yourself. What good areas do you have? What bad areas do you have? How is your relationship with yourself? How is your relationship with others? What are you doing so that you have those high standards in your life as well, especially when it comes to work ethics? And one of the biggest problems that we have, unfortunately, is that we have a lack of work ethics. And it all starts from a young age, by the way, where you don't carry your weight, you're not responsible, you do things on your own, you don't respect authority, you don't like being told what to do, and then slowly you pick up on very bad habits, lying, cheating, deceiving, stealing, and all these other things, للأسف الشديد, that are at the top of the list as far as haram acts are concerned. You and you and you and you. Stop it before I call security. وتعرفون, if I ask Hajj to come, Qiyamah there's going to be. And you, stay off your phone. Thank you. Very disappointed. So, Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So this is what we're talking about. We're talking about how we are able to somehow develop ourselves in a better way, exiting our comfort zone, facing those challenges, looking at our well-being, our mental health, and never ever allowing ourselves to, of course, become mutana'wisun, الذين يتنعوصون, right? Spoilt people, Generation Y. Why do they call them Generation Y? Because, unfortunately, they have this really wrong, a lot of people nowadays have this really, really wrong mentality. Why do you need to do, مثلا, you can pay someone to mow the lawn instead of you mowing the lawn. مثلا, why don't we use a washing machine instead of a dishwashing machine, instead of washing it with our hands? Or why do we have to wash with our hands? We can use a washing machine. Okay, you want to use a washing machine, but when the time comes, if there is a situation where you need to wash laundry with your hands, can you? Or you're going to panic, you're going to have a nervous breakdown, you're going to go into panic mode and you don't know what to do. How are you going to deal with these particular situations? And yes, we do see that the growing generation now are more spoilt. They have less responsibility. How many of you boys do your bed in the morning? Don't lie. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ali Genji, you sure you do it? You do your bed every day? أسأل أمك ترى. Oh, good. 5. Out of what? About 25 boys here. Girls, 100% you don't. Ahmed, أنت مستحيل you do your bed. Yeah. It's like, that's the Ahmed theory. Why do you need to flush the toilet if you're going to use the toilet again? That's the Ahmed theory. You see? Why does a parent need to ask their son, their daughter, Yaba, take the rubbish bin out? Yaba, for example, clean up after yourselves. Pack your bags, put your clothes away, you especially. This one. No, that one there. Put your clothes away. Do this, do that. There's no need. Be responsible yourself. Don't be too overindulge in your life, because it's very, very dangerous for your future. If you don't learn how to deal with a no when you're young, when you're old, you'll become miserable. You'll become a self-absorbed narcissist. Why? Because a narcissist doesn't know what no means, because they were so much throughout their Ahsantum Hajj. They were so much throughout their childhood so used to getting what they want. Now all of a sudden, this is the real life. You're in the working industry. You got a job. You are doing this, and then you come to realize that no, this isn't my mum anymore. This isn't my dad anymore that unfortunately is spoiling me, overindulging me. And therefore either they face the reality and quickly adapt and change, or they become a narcissist, they become conniving, they become sly, they become deceiving, they become a cheat, because they have to get things their way, unfortunately. And this is usually how it is. Yes, we understand that, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, it was different. The life was different. The challenges were different. The distractions were different. But the values are the same. The values are the same. The values are not different. Why is it that in the Holy Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala again and again and again mentions stories about previous Anbiya? There are many stories from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa's life that have not been mentioned in the Quran. Why did the Quran mention stories about Anbiya, prophets that existed centuries before Islam, thousands of years maybe before Islam, before Musa alayhi salam, during the time of Nuh? What's that got to do with, how you're going to be living your life? How is that going to have an impact on you or affect you? It certainly will. Why? Because there's a ibrah in it. There's a lesson in it. When your mother says, when I was your age, this and this and this and that, listen to the moral of the story. Listen to what is being said, that things were really, really difficult during our time. Really difficult. And listen to your fathers. All of you are here from migrant countries, right? Your parents or your grandparents migrated here, right? Either from a civil war like Lebanon, or a all-out war like Afghanistan and Iraq, or other places around those regions, right? Where people were living under sanction, people were living in difficulty, people were living in secrecy, not able to disclose their belief or them being a follower of Ahlulbayt alayhim salam or anything of that sort. And that created them, that made them who they are. And you need to also learn that as well. Which is exactly why if you go down the avenue of being spoiled, then of course things are going to be really, really bad for you. And then you're not going to be that responsible kind of person, that stand-up kind of person. And that's why you have to evaluate yourself. You have to evaluate yourself about what your identity is, about how your relationships are, about you finding value and finding purpose in your life, and also about how you're able to assist and help others. Khidmatun nas, assisting others, helping others, very, very important as well. That's why all of these things are crucial for us. All of them. You can read them all. All of them are important, of course, for us. So, what do you do to prepare yourself for challenges and difficulty? Number one, become resilient. What does resilience mean? Yeah, Hussein. Is that right? Why'd you cough, Twinny? Is that right? What is it then? Resilience. What the hell was that? Resilience. Thank you, Hussein. Your father must be proud of you. Number two, that you have a good support system, that you're able to rely on someone next to you, that you're able to lean back on someone that is next to you, especially with nasiha, especially with advice and seeking consultation with the right person, And number two, confidence, being a confident person, a strong person. And also, number four, mental preparation. And that's what we're talking about. How to prepare yourself mentally. You know, we've got qusas of ulama. They used to, in order to go against their nafs, to go against their desires, they never drank cold water. They never ate something sweet. Even if they had, like for example, watermelon, they'd put salt on the watermelon. Anything that their nafs liked, maybe for you that's extreme, right? But anything that their nafs liked, they would do exactly the opposite. Anything that they liked, they would do exactly the opposite. Why? Because the raha, the comfort of a mu'min is in his grave. The comfort of a mu'min is not in this dunya. This dunya, al-dunya, sijnul mu'min, it's the prison of a believer. And there is no raha except raha or comfort on Yawm al-Qiyamah. And that's exactly why Harry Potter says that how do you learn, grow, and live more fully? Look at this. Who can read that? وَأَيُّوبَ إِذْ نَادَى رَبَّهُ أَنِّي مَسَّنِ الضُّرُّ وَأَنْتَ أَرْحَمُ الرَّاحِمِينَ. Ayyub alayhi salam. Who's Ayyub? The father of? Ayyub alayhi salam, he says, I'm going through a lot of difficulty. إِنِّي مَسَّنِ الضُّرُّ. Yani, I'm having some hardships. وَأَنْتَ أَرْحَمُ الرَّاحِمِينَ. Right? And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَاسْتَجَبْنَا لَهُ فَكَشَفْنَا مَا بِهِ مِنْ ضُرٍّ وَآتَيْنَاهُ أَهْلَهُ وَمِثْلَهُمْ مَعَهُمْ. Basically, even a Nabi will, of course, find difficulties in their lives. So, what do you do in the case that you want to deal with challenges? Who can read this for me? Yalla Hussein.
Don't overreact, don't blame others, practice detachment,
Detachment.
accept present moment reality, don't don't compare your lifestyle with
With others. Very good. All right. And your name was Ali, wasn't it? What was your name? You. Salam. Salam Farmante. Read these ones, please.
Take it easy. Don't complicate life. Be a minimalist. Be content. Plentiful.
For the hereafter. What does a minimalist mean? Haidar Dajun, what does a minimalist mean? Yes, Ahmed, what does a minimalist mean? No. Yes, Ali. No. No. A minimalist, yes, Sayyid Nisar, wa alaikum salam. Can someone come and take that out of my back, that big knife? Okay. A minimalist, of course, means that you are content with what it is that you have. You don't have a collection of shirts and shoes and this and that and this and that. No. Okay. What does Islam say about all of this? Islam says, number one, you have to struggle against your nafs, jihadun nafs. Jihadun nafs is very important. We've spoken about this many times before. Number two, to stay away from dunya, stay away from living a materialistic life. Number two. Number three, to be ascetic, zuhd. And zuhd means that you don't have any kind of attachment to things. And number four, to be content, to be pleased with what you have. Ar-rida bil-qalil, as Imam Ali alayhi salam says. Ar-rida bil-qalil means that you are pleased with the least amount of what it is that you have, whatever it may be. Stop looking over the fence. The grass is not always greener. Right? What does that say, Ali Genji?
Be grateful for all the objects in your life. Obstacles. Yes. They have strengthened you as
You connect, yeah, you connect, yeah. Journey, very good. A'immatu Ahlulbayt alayhim salam are at the forefront of this kind of dealing with difficulty kind of life, right? Dealing with difficulty kind of life. Understanding that you need to put yourself in these kind of situations, so when the time comes, you're not going to be a sellout. When the time comes, you're not going to abandon your faith. You're not going to object God's will, God's fate, God's decision. If you're so much pampering yourself, then one day you lose your legs, la samahallah. Then one day you file for bankruptcy. Then one day you have for example, a big issue. Then one day, la samahallah, God forbid, you lose all of your family members. What are you going to do in this situation? How are you going to react in this situation? Are you going to object to God's command? Are you going to question God's wisdom? Are you going to lose your values? Are you going to sell your soul to the devil? Are you going to take that bribe from the person that's offering it to you? And all these other things that you need to prepare yourself for. All these other things that you need to prepare yourself for. Are you going to answer or that, for example, request of someone wanting to, involve themselves with you in the haram way or whatnot? You have to prepare yourself for that. It doesn't just come out of nowhere spontaneously. You've all heard of the story of Ibn Sirin. It's not very much related, but I think it's a good story to mention. Ibn Sirin of course, was a bazzaz. A bazzaz means a seller of fabric, qamash. Used to sell fabric. Used to go from house to house, sell fabric. Then one day, he knocked on a door. A lady opened the door, and then she said, "Okay, come in. I want to buy some material off you." She closed the door. She locked the door. She said, "You're not leaving this door until I get what I get." He said, this person, of course, he was a pious person, this man. He said, "Okay, give me 1 second. Let me go and fix myself up in the bathroom." He went. He put his hand down the toilet. He covered himself with toilet waste. And then he came out. And then she screamed and shouted, and she ran to the door. She unlocked the door. She opened the door. She said, "Get out of here, you dirty person, you this, you that." Because of what he did, because he avoided his temptation and he didn't want to fall into haram, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him the best of skills. And that is ta'wilul ahlam, interpretation of dreams. And now, the most popular reference book for dream interpretation is the book of Ibn Sirin in dreaming. He had no history in that whatsoever. It was a God-given skill. It was a God-given knowledge. Right? So you do certain things. You're going to be put in a certain situation. You're going to face a certain predicament. You're not going to be able to quickly get out of it unless you prepare yourself. And that's why facing difficulties is very important. And that's why creating scenarios that will allow you to face those difficulties in the future is very important. Very important. And that's how our religion instructs us. That's what our religion tells us. Ahlulbayt alayhim salam, of course, we know that they went through a lot of difficulties in their life, but not once did they object, not once did they question, not once did they go off track. They kept on saying that we are happy with your qada and your qadar, with your fate and with your destiny and with your wisdom, that we are pleased with what it is that you are doing for us. Sayyidah Zainab alayhi salam, after the whole tragedy of Karbala, she picked up Imam Hussein and she said, "Allahumma taqabbal minna hadal qurban." Oh Allah, accept this sacrifice from us. Not once were they seen objecting or frustrated or anything of that sort. That also comes from self-discipline and preparing yourself for the most important of times. Be positive, appreciate what you have, be content, change your perspective, exit your comfort zone, have greater goals in life. My goal in life is to buy that Balenciaga bag, that Gucci, Louis Vuitton bag, that this, that. That's some people, subh lillah, that's all they're thinking about. Going to work, I want to get that bag, I want to get that bag, I want to get that bag. Right? Am I right? Am I wrong? That's how people are, unfortunately. Really? Is that the whole value rotates around a bag or around something very superficial, something meaningless? No, there's greater value in life than these particular things. And of course, you really, really need to discipline yourself. What about us? Learning from Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, the hadith says that, read the hadith here. It's here from Imam Ali alayhi salam. Right? It says that God, for his enemies, gives them comfort. Gives them comfort. You're probably asking, Elon Musk, he's a mulhid, he's an atheist, but look at him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does that intentionally. That if you're good, He'll make your life difficult. If you are bad, He'll make your life easy. This is the qa'idah. This is the principle that we have. And we have so many ahadith from Ahlulbayt that speak about this. هو الذي اشتدت نقمته على أعدائه في سعة رحمته. Yani God shows His wrath and His punishment to someone by giving them rahmah and a good life. And God shows His love to someone by giving them a difficult life. Who's that prophet that went through so many difficulties? Prophet Ayub alayhi salam, right? That's why we say that we ask Allah for sabr of Ayub, right? Again, look at what the Quran says here. Who can read that for me? Well, فَلَا. What happened? What was that? It was like a Hamadani laugh. فَلَا. Read it. Shouldn't zombies? Read it properly. Recite it properly. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Safdari, read it. This is a very important ayah. Please listen, because some of our people, they're into getting rich quickly, Bitcoin and these kind of things here and there, right? Why? Because everyone's into, how am I going to get rich? How am I going to get rich? How can I become an influencer, Instagram, get that Maserati, get that this, get that. Look what the Quran says. So let not their wealth or their children amaze you. Don't be surprised, and don't let them that deceive you, their money and their wealth. Why? Because God's plan, إِنَّمَا يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ لِيُعَذِّبَهُمْ بِهَا. God's plan is to punish them with that money in this dunya. So being wealthy is a punishment from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Being wealthy to most is a punishment from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is why you look at Imam Ali, beautiful example from Imam Ali alayhi salam, where he says, I patched my shirt that many times, I became ashamed and mistahi from the tailor, because that many times I was asking him, patch this hole, patch that hole, patch this hole, patch that hole. Yani, couldn't Imam Ali have bought another shirt? No, but he's preparing himself for something more. There are some people that only wear their socks once and throw it out. Oh, I've had this these shoes or these trousers or this shirt, I've had it for 6 months. 6 months. So what? You can have it for years if you haven't grown out of it. And if you have, give it to another member in your family as a hand-me-down. What is it? Doesn't matter what designer clothes you wear, you're always going to be outgrown by someone else, or outshamed by someone else, or outdressed by someone else. And look at all these hadiths. Read that. It's a very nice hadith from Imam Ali alayhi salam. Look at these hadiths. قَدْرُ الرَّجُلِ عَلَى قَدْرِ هِمَّتِهِ. The value of a man is according to the value of their perseverance, the struggle that they go through. آفة النجح الكسل. What is the illness or the obstacle of success? Laziness. Laziness, being lazy. إياك والكسل والضجر إنهما مفتاح كل سوء. Be careful of always being lazy or always being bored, because they are the key to all evil. Some people, I'm bored. Occupy yourself. There's 1,000,001 things that you're able to do. Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam, he says, إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُ بِمَنْزِلَةِ كَفَّةَ الْمِيزَانِ. A mu'min is like two sides of a scale. The higher your iman is, the more problems and difficulties that you're going to have. كُلَّمَا زِيدَ فِي إِيمَانِهِ زِيدَ فِي بَلَائِهِ. The more iman you want to have, the more difficulty you're going to have in life. Another hadith, this last one from Imam Sadiq, كُلَّمَا ازْدَادَ الْعَبْدُ إِيمَانًا ازْدَادَ ضِيقًا فِي مَعِيشَتِهِ. The more faith you have, the more difficult your life, the more financial difficulty your life is going to be. Does that have to be the case? No, but prepare yourself for that. Prepare yourself for that. So you keep your values. So you don't get lost that you're used to gaining this kind of income and then all of a sudden it's less. So then you start finding shifty, shady ways to get back to how you are or who you are. No. So the whole message that we can see from our religion, Islam, and from Ahlulbayt is that we need to learn to live a difficult life. That not everything is about comfort and raha, and that we need to prepare ourselves for that day which will come where we will need to quickly adapt. If we have already previously gone through those exercises, it will be very, very quickly for us to quickly adapt. If we haven't, then we'll either have a nervous breakdown, give up, give in, run away, or our values will quickly fade away and disappear. This is a very important lesson for us. We need to learn it. And alhamdulillah, one of the things that most of you, if not all of you, did in camp was this exact thing. And that's exactly how your attitude needs to be for the rest of your life. Exit your comfort zone, challenge yourself, face difficulties, learn how to adapt quickly, create scenarios of difficulties, so when the time does come, you will know how to deal with it. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وآله الطاهرين.